So when my mom and I decided that we wanted to go on a trip together in around 2015, and at first we decided that we were going to go to Paris, but she said at the time they were having like unrest, like protests and stuff. She said it's much too dangerous. We need to go to Rome. And I said okay. And I was happy to go on a trip because I had sort of just gotten out of a relationship, and I decided that probably a trip with my mother would probably be like the least sexual, least romantic. And I don't know if you've ever, like, of combos of travel companions, older mother and gay son is like probably as sexless as you can get, but also the most entertaining and volatile, really. So we both went to Rome, and we were staying in this like suite that she had sort of like her own room. It wasn't completely like separate, but there was like a partition, and then I would sleep on the couch. And we were just sort of going around Rome and eating carbonara and learning about how they have different water in Rome and all sorts of stuff. And after a while, that got boring because, just it's fun to be in Rome, but I was sort of getting over a little bit of a heartbreak and stuff. So one night we went out and we had some carbonara and we had like a little too much wine. And we go back to the suite or the room or whatever you want to call it. And she goes to bed, but I'm still up. And I'm like, I am feeling heartbroken, and there's nothing better to heal heartbreak than, to find somebody to heal it with. So I said, she's asleep. I'm a little drunk. So I decided to find like the nearest like Roman gay bar. And luckily, like there was one right around the corner. So I like snuck out. And I go to this gay bar. I forgot the name of it, but let's call it, Marco Polo or something like that. So I go there and I'm sort of having a drink, and I don't speak any Italian. So I'm just like hoping that, I don't know, magic will happen. Sometimes I can speak different languages when I have a couple drinks, so we'll see what comes out. So anyway, this guy comes up and he starts speaking to me. He's obviously Italian, but he's speaking English. And we start to hit it off. And I say, he's like, what's your name? I said, my name is Ryan. He's like, what are you here for? I said, I'm just here on business, just in Rome on business, living my fantasy. And I go, what's your name? And he goes, my name's Marco. Oh, I forgot Marco Polo. I didn't mean that. That wasn't intentional. So I go, nice to meet you. And he says, do you speak any Italian? I go, no, I know like hello, goodbye is ciao. And he's like, well, goodbye could also be arrivederci. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. So we're like having more wine and like, talking, and everything's going great. And he's like, I live like not too far from here. And I go, that sounds like wonderful. So, we end up going back to his house, and he, teaches me a little French. So I thought I was going to learn Italian. So we have like a wonderful time speaking French and like learning French, and then at some point I'm like, I've got to go. So, but it was lovely meeting you, And he goes, well, hopefully I'll see you around. And I said, well, ciao. Hopefully I'll see you around. He said, arrivederci. I hope to, see you soon. That's what that means. And I go, sure, whatever. Bye, Marco. So like I go back to the suite and I go to bed, and I'm like feeling so nice because my heart's a little mended and my mom's still asleep, from her wine. And the next day we were going to go to the Vatican. We were going to continue our trip, and I was just like so excited. So my mom gets up and she was like sort of like, did you hear something in the middle of the night? And I go, no, you're still drunk. I didn't hear anything. And so we're, go to the Vatican. So we were like with a tour group, right? And when you go on a tour group, like sometimes they say like, look for like a yellow flag, and then that's how you know where your tour group is. So it's real hot, and we go up to, like, we're looking for the yellow flag. And so, like, I find it, and I, like, get my mom all together, and we walk up, and the tour guide is Marco. So, Marco Polo, there he is. That was not intentional, I'm just telling you. But so I was like, he, like, sort of, like, turned around, and then, like, I was already there, and he faced me, and I was like, ciao. And he goes, oh, ciao, Ryan. I go, Marco. And then my mom's like, we're really excited about the Vatican today. And I go, I had never been so glad to not be Catholic in my life because like this guy who I just had been speaking French with for several hours was about to take me on a tour of like the Vatican. So we're walking around the Vatican and it's, just, Marco, my mother and me, learning about, this is the Sistine Chapel. That's great. And, this is, the Pieta. And I was like, wonderful. And like, my mom the whole time is asking every single question that you could possibly ask somebody. Like, when did they buy this painting? And when did Pope John Paul become a saint? And I'm sitting there just going like, when this like 5-hour tour cannot like be short enough. So but over the course of the tour, like Marco and I are talking, he's like, I thought you were here on business. And I go, well, I lied. I'm here with my mom. And he goes, and I was like, I didn't, you just said you were kind of like in tourism. You didn't say you gave tours of the Vatican. He's like, I think your lie is like worse. I said, so anyway, the tour ended, and my mother and I were leaving. She said, thank you for a wonderful tour. I said, Marco, thank you for a wonderful tour. And he said, thank you. Very nice to meet you both. And then we both left and said, arrivederci.
Ryan Leach.